September is back to school time and all of those holiday treats start to come out of the woodwork. That can make it a little tricky to either maintain or continue to make progress with your weight loss or wellness goal, especially from a belly fat loss perspective. Those really sugary fall and holiday treats really spike our storing hormone insulin and make it really hard to burn fat around the belly. But today I'm sharing 10 delicious fall foods that you should be eating right now to help you achieve your weight loss and wellness goals. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance, and today's video is sponsored by Kettle and Fire. More on them in a bit. Okay, this first food is Brussels sprouts. When cooked in a hot pan with butter and salt and garlic, maybe a little bit of thyme in there. Oh, so good. And one of the main reasons why you should be eating it right now if your goal is to lose belly fat is because it's really rich in glucosinolates and sulfur containing compounds. Both of these aid in phase 2 liver detox that help to process those refined sugars that work directly against a belly fat loss goal and are commonly eaten during that fall cozy season weather. Now I've also made a blog post that goes along with this video where I share different really delicious simple recipes that you can use with each one of these different food items. So if you want to check that out, I'll also have that link down description below. Or you can find it on my website at autumnnutrition.com/blog. Okay, the second item you should be eating right now is grain-free oatmeal. Now, normally I'm a huge fan of smoothies. In fact, being in Southern California, I'm still going to be a huge fan of smoothies during the fall time. But if you live in an area where it's getting a little bit more chilly out now that it's fall or almost fall, looking for a high quality warming breakfast or breakfast that also is in line with your weight loss and wellness goals is crucial. And unfortunately, just regular oats will not fit that bill. I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments, as there always are whenever I bring this up, saying,
"But Autumn, I lost 100 pounds eating oatmeal every single day."
Now that might be the case for you. However, especially specifically looking at a belly fat loss goal, this is often tied to an issue of insulin resistance. And given how insulin spiking oats are and how low it is in protein, that's super important for achieving a body recomposition goal. Oats for most people with this specific goal is not a good option. However, grain-free oatmeal definitely can be. It's rich in fiber, it's rich in high quality fats and proteins, and it tastes really great. It even cooks up a little bit faster than just regular oatmeal. It's awesome. I've shared 2 on my YouTube channel, so those will also be linked in the blog post. But to help really boost the protein content from high quality protein source, I like to stir in a scoop of my 0 sugar vanilla protein powder to add a little bit of vanilla flavor without the sugar, and while also getting a good source of protein. Okay, the third thing you should be eating right now is stewing meat. The humble stewing meat makes some of the most delicious and coziest meals that you will eat during the fall. I mean, onions and garlic and herbs and stewing meat slow cooked for multiple hours. Oh, so good. And it also tends to be one of the least expensive cuts of meat. And when we're looking at achieving a body recomposition goal, which is where you're losing body fat, including around the belly, while maintaining or even increasing muscle mass, getting adequate protein from high quality sources like stewing meat is one of the most important things you could be doing right now. I like to make a ton of different stew recipes during the fall, and I have one of my favorite recipes in my Thriving cookbook. But one tip to make sure you look out for, especially if your goal is to lose belly fat, is to make sure that you're not using those really starchy, insulin spiking potatoes or grains in the stew. So you can swap those out for less starchy options like turnips, carrots, cauliflower, butternut squash. Those will all be a better option for that goal. Okay, the fourth thing you should be eating right now is bone broth. So speaking of stews, bone broth is an excellent pairing because it naturally contains high levels of collagen. And when you combine collagen with a protein like the stewing meat, it's been found to really help boost satiety and help prevent snacking or cravings later in the day. And you can test out an amazing bone broth company with today's sponsor, Kettle and Fire. Kettle and Fire is slowly simmered to help pull out as much collagen as possible, and it comes from grass-fed cows. Kettle and Fire comes in a variety of different flavors. They have their original flavor in both chicken and beef. This one's great to be pairing with stews, but they also have a ton of different other flavors like the chipotle beef, which I love using in my spicy bone broth chili. It's a super convenient and delicious way to make sure that you're getting a lot of collagen to help boost satiety. And Kettle and Fire is offering my viewers 20% off your bone broth orders by using code AUTUMNBAITS at checkout. That is such an awesome deal, so make sure you check out the link in my description below so that you can stock up and get 20% off your bone broth orders. Perfect for fall. Okay, the fifth thing you should be eating, or rather drinking right now, is healthy coffee. Coffee is like the absolute epitome of fall vibes. And if you're following intermittent fasting, especially if you're new to intermittent fasting, coffee can also help to act as a really great natural appetite suppressant during the fast. Plus, it just tastes amazing. Coffee is also loaded with antioxidants that have been found to help reduce fat around the liver. Just make sure it doesn't have any sugar. From a belly fat loss perspective, eating a lot of sugar, especially in a liquid form, is not going to help you achieve your goals. If you really must have some type of sweetener in your coffee, I recommend using either monk fruit or stevia extract. Just make sure that they are pure monk fruit or stevia, because a lot of the brands that make monk fruit or stevia sweeteners usually either pair it with another sugar source like maltodextrin or even just plain old sugar. Which, if you guys are liking this video so far, it would really mean the world to me if you could give this video a thumbs up. Really helps support my channel and helps me to keep creating free content just like this. Okay, the next food you should be eating right now in September during the fall is cinnamon. 'Tis the season for cinnamon as well. It's a warming spice that has also been found to help stabilize blood sugar levels. And the more we can stabilize blood sugar levels, the less of an insulin spike we can typically expect, making it much better for achieving a weight loss and belly fat loss goal. And it's so easy to add cinnamon to pretty much like every recipe, especially during the fall. I love pairing cinnamon and nutmeg in my protein pancake recipe. Oh my gosh, it is so good. If you guys haven't checked that out either, it's one of the free recipes that you can get with each bag of my zero sugar protein powder. It's amazing. You can also find that on my website at automelnutrition.com/shop. Okay, next up we have carrots, which carrots have gotten a bad reputation, I think, for a long time as being sugary, which, yes, if you are juicing like 50 carrots and having just pure carrot juice, you're going to have a lot of sugar. But having whole cooked carrots as a replacement to something that is really insulin spiking like potatoes is a much better option for achieving a belly fat loss goal. To put this into perspective, we have the glycemic load measurement. And if something has a high glycemic load, that means it has a really big impact on our blood sugar levels and a really big impact on our insulin as well. And a high glycemic load is anything above 20, and a baked russet potato has a glycemic load of about 33. So it's really high versus cooked carrots, which only have a glycemic load of about 2 to 3, which is ridiculously low. Next up, we have almond flour, and this is because we're coming into the baking season. So especially if you're someone who likes to bake, this is a much better alternative than regular wheat flour. Almond flour is made from ground almonds, so it doesn't have any grains in it. And grains have such a big potential to really spike insulin and work against a belly fat loss goal that if you are interested in baking, you'll want to swap it out for something that is less insulin spiking. And for most recipes, you can swap out regular flour with almond flour. There might be a little bit of an adjustment that you need to make. The texture might come out a little bit different, but it's actually surprisingly great in a lot of baked goods. Okay, next we have the variety of squashes. Spaghetti squash, butternut squash, delicata, pumpkin. These are all great swaps for those highly insulin spiking potatoes. In fact, 1/3 of a cup of mashed and cooked butternut squash only has a glycemic load of around 3, so similar to carrots. It's also super versatile, so like spaghetti squash you could use in place of pasta, or you could have a roasted butternut squash soup, or use pumpkin puree to make protein pancakes, which I also have a recipe for that. So good. Now, if you're super carb sensitive, you may want to stick to about a 1/2 cup to a cup of this per day. But even if you're just generally carb sensitive, then most of the squash is still a great option for you. Okay, next we have brisket. So similar to stewing meat, brisket is generally slow cooked, it's super high in protein, and it's also going to typically be a cheap cut of meat. What I love about this for a weight loss goal is that it's obviously really rich in protein, so it's going to be extremely beneficial from a body recomposition perspective, but it's also one of the meals that you can really quickly put into a slow cooker and turn it on low so that by the time you get back from work, it's done and dinner's ready for you. Plus, you can pair some of those other vegetables that I mentioned earlier, like carrots or squash, as a great alternative to the typical potatoes that would be served with it. It's just such a wholesome, simple, but delicious meal that's perfect for the fall and is really rich in protein, making a great option from a weight loss perspective. Okay, now we have protein hot chocolate. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the fall always meant hot chocolate time. Especially as a kid, I loved hot chocolate, but it is so sugary. And this is actually a recent creation of mine, and I had to share it and put it on the list because it is amazing. And it's zero sugar. The recipe is really simple. All you do is use either whole milk, and that's if you're not carb sensitive and if you also are not lactose intolerant. Otherwise, you could use something like coconut milk or almond milk, just not oat milk. You heat it up on the stovetop over like a medium low heat. Add about a 1/2 to a full serving of my zero sugar chocolate protein powder. And then if you like it a really deep chocolatey flavor, you could add in about an extra teaspoon of unsweetened cocoa powder. You give it a whisk and that's it. So easy. And since my zero sugar protein powder uses pure monk fruit extract to sweeten it, you get a little bit of that sweet flavor without any of the sugar. So if you want to test out my zero sugar protein powder, I actually recently came out with it. You guys have been absolutely loving it, which makes me so happy. But if you haven't tested it out yet, I'll have the details for it linked down in the description below, or you can find it at autumnlnutrition.com/shop. So cheers to the new upcoming change in season, and I'll see you guys in my next video.